Hello, my name is R Olson, and welcome to Ignition Point. This is a series where we talk about how big ideas catch fire, and yours can too. So this is the very first episode that we're producing, and this is a little bit of a departure for me because I am used to being an interviewer and a science journalist, and I'm used to talking to experts, not being the expert. But because I've moved into selling services to companies that specialize in science and innovation, I thought it was a good time to start something where we could talk about how to talk about complicated ideas and to translate complicated ideas into something that the average person can understand, grasp, and use to take some kind of action on. And also, I want this series to talk about how we can translate expertise into influence through media, and that could take various forms. My favorite format to work on is video because as it's been called, video is the king of all media, meaning or the queen, depending on how you want to frame it, but it's because it incorporates all the different forms of legacy media. That would be audio, video, written word, music, and it's all woven together to tell a story. So this is the first episode. I'm sure it's going to be terrible. This is me basically just kind of clearing my throat. I think the episodes will get better as we go, but just bear with me as I sort of get this out of the way to get things going. I kind of alluded to it, but a little bit more about me. So I am one of those strange people that has a dual interest in sort of science, technology, innovation, the environment. I find all of those things super interesting, and also how those things connect together. But I'm also very interested in communicating ideas, and I really enjoy innovative ideas, innovative ways to communicate ideas. And so that led me into filmmaking and interactive media, writing to some degree. But I'm sort of fascinated with how ideas go from something that's sort of obscure to something that's widely known. And I've had that interest from a very young age, and I really do like telling stories as well. But I think there's so many interesting stories in the world of science and technology that just don't get told, and people tend to focus on stories that are they have an emotional, they have a very human element, but they're not actually about what's driving society forward. And really in this day and age, it's science and innovation and other big ideas. Although I think even if we're talking about philosophy or something like that, a lot of that is now also being driven by science and innovation. So that's where all the interesting ideas are. And so I want this show to be about sort of how we translate those interesting new developments in science and innovation into something that is intelligible, and how we make that into an interesting story and communicate that across platforms. So let's see what else. So yeah, my background is I actually do have a hard science background in biochemistry as an undergrad, and then I also worked in a science lab for 6 years, studying the genes that predispose women to breast cancer. Um, and then from there, I sort of moved into media, which might seem like a departure, but that was actually something that I was doing a lot of in my teens, in terms of music and video work and writing, and then actually kind of returned to that after having been in the world of science for 6 years, sort of immersing myself in that. Um, Anyways, so then I took a documentary filmmaking program, and I really thought that I would end up being a um, science documentarian. And that led me to do a graduate program at NYU in science journalism. And I did end up kind of working for the companies that I started out wanting to work for. So I did an internship with Nova, which was sort of a life goal, and then I ended up also being a digital producer for the show Nature on PBS. So those were kind of cool. I mean, those were experiences that I wanted to have. And also Scientific American, which was a magazine that I read as a kid and was always inspired by, and uh, thought it was really cool to, a good place to find all the new ideas and interesting ideas. And I still quote from articles that I read as a kid and a teenager, into my early 20s. So, yeah, I kind of did the thing that I wanted to do, which was work for these legacy media companies. What I'm doing now is I'm basically trying to build my own media company that focuses on science and innovation, the environment, sustainability, and develop shows around that. But uh, you know, real talk, that doesn't immediately pay the bills. So I'm also looking to work with clients in science and innovation, to help tell their stories and to make their ideas catch fire and get out there, and so that they can get funding and grants and all that great stuff to kind of help push society forward. So that's my motivation here, and that's the kind of work that I like to do. So I was thinking that this show could be about what I do and how I help people, and what I know about how to translate complicated ideas into things that are understandable, so that people can get something for that, from that. And if they also want to work with me, great. If they don't, just become become a subscriber of the show and follow along, and hope you'll learn something. So this is, as I said, very rambly, and I'm just kind of clearing my throat here. But I also, as a producer, as a media producer, I also don't want this show to be overly produced. I want it to be a little bit raw and authentic. So I'm going to take a sip of water, and I'm not going to edit this out. It's going to be difficult for me not to do that. So I'm envisioning several different types of episodes, and I actually listen to a lot of podcasts and consume a lot of YouTube content, and there are certain formats that I feel like work really well for this type of show or podcast or series or whatever you want to call it. The first one is like a toolbox episode. So this is where, you're kind of essentializing something down to these are let's break this down. Let's give you a bulleted list. These episodes tend to be quite short, but it's something practical that you can use, and we'll distill it down into something that is easy to understand, easy to remember. The other kind of episode that I really like is a breakdown or diagnostic episode. What went wrong here? How do we fix it? Alex Hormozy, who's a business guru, he does this with businesses, and I really like that. So could also do that with communications, and look at, science or tech organizations, and how are they communicating? What are they doing well? What could be fixed? And then I was thinking also, like, guest interviews could be interesting too. Having people on who are really doing great work in this space, and I'm developing a list there of people to invite to talk about this. But like I said, this is a bit of a departure for me. I'm not used to thinking of myself as an expert, but I do have a lot of expertise in this area. So I hope that these episodes are beneficial for you, the listener or watcher, if you're watching this on video. And I'm hoping to release these fairly frequently, and I hope they're useful. I think the value for me, even if nobody listens, is to kind of distill my thinking, and yeah, that's about it. So we'll end there. If you like this episode, this intro episode, I'll find it very hard to believe that you actually do like it, because I know it's very rough, and I'm just kind of getting my ideas out there. But you got to get started. At the end of the day, just start something, and that's one thing that I'm learning as I get older, is don't worry about making it perfect. Just get it out there. So that's what we're doing with this episode. But if you liked it, and you are interested in, this premise of this series, which is how to make, big, complicated ideas catch fire, how to turn, real expertise into media and influence, then you should subscribe and follow, and I will do my best to provide as much value as I can to you with this show. So I think that's it for this episode, and there's nowhere to go but up from here. All right, take care.